I'm just gonna let you know this. You go in this hospital at VCU, you about to have probably 10 doctors flying around you, everything, because you're at a real pivotal point in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
It could go left or right, with these wounds and what's the magnitude of it. And no question, man, I got in there and there's doctors flying all over the place, and they got that look in their eye like, we got to work hard, or this kid's he's not gonna make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have some something that's gonna take him out of here. So I just remember still somehow being myself. I remember them asking me a bunch of questions, just yelling, just random things you may hear. What's your age? What's your weight? Do you have any allergies? I guess they're asking things because they're about to give me all these medicines.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just wanting something to stop the pain. So I'm like, guys, come on, last question they ask. Any allergies? I just yelled out, yeah, fire. That's an allergy. I'm allergic to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man.
You ready to get to
it. But long story short, they calmed me down, and I just remember being knocked out, and I woke up in ICU with tubes all in me. Everything you can imagine, Jonathan. And that process, I had to learn everything. I learned how to walk again.
Mm.
I had to, use a feeding tube for a long time, maybe over almost a month. Catheter, you couldn't use the bathroom, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you can imagine that would go down in ICU, I was going through. It was just something that was it was a time you almost cannot believe what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're trying to process. What's going to happen now? How do I move on from this?
Yeah.
And to make it, even more interesting, that morning I was supposed to go I was on tour for acting, and we had our last show in North Carolina. I was supposed to leave from work and go to North Carolina that day. So right when I looked at my arms, the backtrack, when I looked at myself on fire, Daniel Boxdale's he's not going to believe this. I literally felt so bad. I said, I'm not going to make this show. I'm not going to make this show. I'm going to let everyone down. They cannot do this production with a main actor missing out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And my first two calls was to my mom and to Daniel Boxdale. And I would do motivational speeches for that group before every show. And I still gave them my motivational speech that first morning in the hospital, fighting for my life. I could barely get words out. I still got on that phone with them. They all hear me on speakerphone. And now I don't know what I said, but they remember, and it was very powerful. It was from my heart. They all cried and cried and cried, and attested them. They got through that show that day. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin's our sound audio guy. He somehow did my part to get through this show. They had to improvise, like have him hold a book so you can kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that moment right there, I just felt so much sorrow as far as my life in entertainment.
Yeah,
and everything, my life period. So yeah, Jonathan, get through that process. Going through that process. Everything's extremely painful. Everything's extremely hard. My second night there, I throw up and choke on a feeding tube. That almost took me out of here. A feeding tube that came up my stomach as I threw up in the middle of the night and knotted up in my throat. And my call button had fell off the bed behind me, and I can't walk. I can't nothing. And it's a dark room, and the curtains are closed. And it's 2:30 in the morning, and there's nobody walking around. And I literally said, "Wow, Lord, at this point, I'm supposed to die. Fire happened yesterday. Now I'm choking to death right now." I never forget. I remember calming down, slowing my breath down, and just started making mouth noises like
trying to get somebody's attention.
By the grace of God, it just happened. A nurse wasn't even supposed. She said I wasn't even supposed to be on. I forgot something. I forgot something. At that point, they leave that area just quiet and dark for a lot of hours through the night. Hit your call button. Somebody comes in. She so happened to come back, and she heard me making that noise, and she opened up that door, and she saw me, and she see like vomit, and oh my God, you threw up. Tube. And she realized, she said, oh my God, your tube is. So in that moment, it's mayhem. The nurses run in, they're flying in. I never forget this moment right here. They got their supervisor, whoever was above them. They're like, we got to pull this tube out of him right now. We got to cut one part off his nose and pull.
Mm-hmm.
Got to pull it all through his nose. You know that lady, the supervisor, stopped in the midst of that. And she said, "Guys, I don't have authorization. Nurses, I never forget one lady out. She just grabbed the scissors like over top of her boss, grabbed it,
Mm-hmm.
and went to work, snipped something off, connecting from my nose and mouth, and she started pulling it
Just
all,
pulling it out.
and that was a crazy experience in itself. So, yeah, my family was there, for all of this. I was in Richmond, so they would come. They was there the next morning. They had to redo the tube and all that. And shout out to Kirsten Fuddy and Michael Fuddy, two good friends of mine. Kirsten held my hand, my homeboy's wife. We just like my sister. She held my hand the whole time. They had to redo that tube thing because that was a process in itself. So, yeah, man, I can't make this story short. It's just, it's
That's
so
good.
much to
It's
it.
all good.
But, to get through it and not be too long-winded, I want to say this part for sure. Like I said earlier, my third day is when the Lord came to me. Because there's a point in time where I'm wondering, when is the Lord going to talk to me about why this?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
And by that third morning is the middle of the night. And, I tell people to this day, you can't tell me the Lord's not real. There's nothing that anybody can ever say to me, after that experience of, it's so powerful when you're in the presence of the Lord. I felt like I was like this, leaning down. I felt like he was beside me. But you feel in that moment, you feel so unworthy. You don't even feel that you can even glance up and even look at him. That's what it felt. That's how powerful it felt.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, he told me what I was here for. And then he gave me a vision. And I saw a vision of me just speaking in front of all these people, all around the world, people. And I woke up in a lot of tears. And nurses, they're jumping around. They're like, "Oh my, your girl's right there." She's like, everyone's like, "Are you okay? You're in pain?" And I was rejoicing.
Mm.
I know now he talked. I know my purpose. I know what's going on. And they end up sending a reverend to me. They had this pastors in that VCU hospital that would talk to certain people. And I never forget this little 80-some-year-old lady come in there. And I told her my testimony. And she looked at me and she said, "Anthony, I've been doing this for 50 years. Probably the most powerful testimony I've ever." She's crying. She
Mm-hmm.
said, "Anthony, my phone was sitting to the side. She said, that thing over there, that phone, you need to get on that. You need to go to whatever you guys are on these social media. You need to get that story out to as many people as possible." And that led to fuel me to go talking to churches.